Oh, hello and welcome to What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. I am him, and we are here to make you guys some money. And that's exactly what we intend to do today. I'm here with two of the most brilliant minds in the Dallas-Fort Worth area when it comes to the sport of professional football. And we're going to recommend and preview the games for the championship weekend. To my immediate right, I see Ryan Perio at Ryan Perio on all social media platforms. Thank you for being on, buddy. Happy to have you on again.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's kind of, coming down to the end of the season here. We're getting to the end of the road.
It's sad, but it's exciting because football season truly never ends. We are going to have drafts stuff after this. It always just keeps on a rolling.
But this is where you kind of find like your new football love. Like it's like you didn't think about the Detroit Lions 2 years ago, but here you are in your Honolulu blue come Sunday, rooting for the Detroit Lions. If you're not Jamie Jakes or any of the Jakes immediate family that are from Michigan.
Who could have possibly seen the Lions coming? I thought their roster was still a year behind, but evidently no, they are not. You get surprised every single year, and it seems like we shouldn't be so surprised that we are surprised every year in the NFL because it is really awesome. This stuff happens all the time, and you're just like a couple of good draft picks and a good head coach away from turning your whole team around. And that's why the NFL is awesome. Speaking of awesome, also sitting here with NFL insider, not a public figure, James. Thank you for joining the show, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah, we know that story all too well, the draft picks and coming up and down. So, sometimes it's a love story, things are meant to be. So I that's kind of what I'm feeling with the Lions this year. That's my vibe right now. The love story. Baby, just say yes.
Baby, just say yes. Speaking of which, we do have two games to cover today. And when you're talking about love stories and romance and just perfect stuff, I usually go for the Chiefs, Mr. James. But I love that you're taking our brains to Detroit. We got the Kansas City Chiefs at Baltimore. Kansas City, of course, having a real rough season. And then who could have seen them just absolutely turn it on here late and look absolutely spectacular doing it. The Baltimore Ravens have won one game in the playoffs. They looked a little bit rusty in the first half, but definitely put it together. They're an absolutely spectacular team. The real story, and it's not Taylor Swift, it's not Donna Kelce, it's not Travis Kelce, and it's not Jason Kelce. The real story about this game is with the referees. The referee crew on this game, James, who wins more often? Sorry to put you on the spot. In the NFL, home teams or away teams? Who's more likely to win the game?
Home teams should be winning these games, according to statistics.
According to statistics, the home team usually wins the game well over 50% of the time. This referee crew, who's been a part of the NFL for a while, the away team averages a win in 60% of the games. And I didn't run the p-values on this, Mr. James.
The delta? You have the delta on this?
That is statistically significant. And I guess these refs just love playing heel, or I don't, maybe they're not good at calling procedural penalties for the away team. I don't know.
Feels like Patrick Mahomes gives them a gift basket for every game.
Feels like, they're getting a couple of gift baskets after this game, if you know what I'm saying. And that is why I have to recommend the Chiefs at +4. I have to recommend the Chiefs money line. And I have to recommend that you tease 4 up 6 points to 10 and combine it with one other bet that I'm going to recommend for the Lions game. I got a lot of action on this championship weekend, you guys. Ryan Perio, what are your thoughts on this game?
I am going to take the Ravens, and I'm going to take the under. I feel like that defense is absolutely firing on all. Lamar Jackson was not firing on all cylinders as far as throwing the ball last week against Houston, but that defense absolutely shut down C.J. Stroud and what looked like somebody that they were, saying was such a veteran. It made C.J. Stroud hold that ball and look like a rookie, and that's very impressive. So I could see them definitely giving Patrick Mahomes all he can handle as far as coverage, sacks, and everything else. So I'm still going to take the Ravens. I just think that team is just too well built to fail at this point.
So Ryan Perry, you're not at all concerned what we just saw Patrick Mahomes do to the Buffalo Bills? Because I actually didn't really watch that game very closely because I was basking in the glow of a Lions victory yet again. But
you were still coming down.
I was pretty tuned up. I'll say that. I was pretty tuned up, had different focuses at the moment. I just rewatched that game.
Euphoria was really rushing.
A lot of euphoria. There's a lot of euphoria going around for everybody. And I took part in a lot of the euphoria. And I didn't watch that game very closely. I rewatched it just now before we went on condensed mode. And Patrick Mahomes was absolutely slinging the pigskin. So that would be my first rebuttal as CJ Stroud and Patrick Mahomes, I think still on different planets at the moment in their careers. Maybe CJ demonstrates something. But anyways, are you not at all concerned about the NFL script writers and Patrick Mahomes combining to they want to see confetti fall, and they want to see either Dan Campbell, hoisting the trophy, breaking it over his knee, and then, drinking beers out of the interior of the Lombardi trophy, or they want to see Travis Kelce propose under the confetti. So you're not at all concerned about the NFL script writers on this one, Ryan?
I'm not, because they also, as an NFL scriptwriter of Lamar Jackson, overcoming all his playoff demons to take his team to the championship and finally take his seat as one of the elite QBs of this generation.
I love it. I love that. And it would be something to see. So you officially have the Ravens -4 and the under. So you got 2 recommendations as well on this game. That is also direct crossfire with me, and indirect crossfire with me. James, what say you, buddy?
Look, we have all been enchanted by the Taylor Swift saga. If we could go back to December and look at this game right now, do you think this matchup would have occurred? I don't think so. I think a lot of us would have. But you know what? This weekend, I'm saying, hey, it's me. I'm not the problem. The NFL is the problem. The NFL wants Taylor Swift to win the game. The NFL wants the Chiefs to win this game. I knew they were trouble when they walked in, but no shame on me. I'm taking the Chiefs. I've got plus 170. Look what you made me do, Taylor. Look what you made me do. Look what you just made me do. So Chiefs.
Thank you for reiterating that, because I got lost in all of the glory that was that take. So you're taking the Chiefs +4, Mr. James.
Yeah, Chiefs plus 170. They're winning the game. I'm taking the money line.
I'm taking the money line. I'm right there with you.
By the way,
I'm right there with you.
That was 5 Taylor Swift songs, and I also slipped 2 more in pre-show. So
I did not catch the ones pre-show. I did catch those ones. I was familiar with those. So congratulations to you.
Mean. You're just mean, Jake.
I don't get it. Anyways. No, I'm just kidding. I did talk to a Chiefs fan in a seminar that I'm currently doing for continuing education in the chiropractic field. And he closed off by saying that he's cheering for the Chiefs. And I asked him if he's a fan of Taylor Swift. Was not a fan of Taylor Swift. Almost made him not want to be a Chiefs fan. Yeah. I don't know.
I love the Eras Tour movie. I didn't get to go see the actual concert. I love the movie. I think it's iconic. Might not be a big fan of her music, but the work that she's doing behind the scenes, I gotta give my girl Tay some shout outs here. The production value is off the charts.
It's really unbelievable what Taylor Swift is doing. And if you're hating on her, hey, relax. Moving on to the Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers. My Detroit Lions are going into Santa Clara, California, and playing the San Francisco 49ers. Debo, I think, was limited at practice today as we are recording on Thursday night. If I had to guess, he's either not going to play or he's going to play like a series and then Debo out of the game per usual. I think that is a big, big swinging factor in this game. If Debo cannot go, it will be Brandon Ayuk for over whatever his receiving yardage is. Take that and then take 100 and then take over 120. Okay. So half a unit, quarter unit on Brandon Ayuk if Debo doesn't play, if that's announced pregame. And either way, right now, currently, bet the Lions plus 7.5 because I think they're going to keep this game close. I think, honestly, they have a 50-50 chance of winning this game. The Lions can move the ball on the ground. They can move the ball in the air. Jared Goff is absolutely fucking locked in, and he has been since the beginning of these playoffs. He had a couple goofy moments late in the season, but just like his Super Bowl run with the Rams, he turned it around late in the year, won a couple of games, and he is hot with Amon-Ra St. Brown and probably a pretty damn healthy Sam Laporta who played through the same knee injury that sidelined Travis Kelce for like 3 weeks to start the season. I'm going to take the Lions at the money line as well. I'm also going to tease the Lions plus 7.5, up 6 points. What's 7.5 plus 6, James? Sorry to put you on the spot.
13.5.
13.5.
Just because I went to an SEC school doesn't mean I can't do the math.
13.5 for the Lions.
Of moonshine jars. I would have done it twice as bad.
10 for the Chiefs. Put like 5 units on that. Don't do that. Put 2 units on that. Put 3 units on that. And then put 1 unit on everything else that I recommended. If Debo plays, Ayuk bets off the table. Okay? So keep an eye out for his status pregame. Ryan Perry, what are your thoughts on this one, buddy?
I'm with you. I'm taking Detroit. I have to, as a part Cowboys fan, it really frightens me to know that Green Bay is probably a better team than Dallas is after that game, like last week, because everybody thought Green Bay was a fluke and that San Francisco was blow them out, and it took pretty much a last minute terrible decision by Jordan Love to seal their fate, but they pretty much hung with them stride for stride, and so that frightens me if I'm a San Francisco fan. That defense did not look unbeatable. Aaron Jones ate them up. And so I think with Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery in that backfield, both together, that's a lot to ask a defense that couldn't tackle Aaron Jones all game to handle. Also, you didn't mention Josh Reynolds, who's been having just an outlandishly good playoff run, while Amon-Ra St. Brown's probably soaking up a little bit more coverage than he normally would. Josh Reynolds has been a big benefactor. Also, Jameson Williams just sneaking through and getting 1 or 2 big plays a game. This offense is absolutely clicking. It is. Yeah. So if you're the 49ers defense and you had trouble with Jordan Love, I think you're going to have a little bit even more trouble with this team that has even more weapons and maybe not as physically gifted a thrower of the football, but more of a savvy veteran player, that's not going to put it in harm's way like Jordan Love did. Yeah. I think the Lions are going to shock the world, and I think that they're going to head to Vegas.
They're going to shock the world. I'm with you. Jared Goff was asked in a press conference today that he was basically asked, like, why don't you have any superstars on your team? He's like, well, we have 2 first team all pros on our team, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I think the league wants to introduce the world to these superstars that are on the Lions. To your point, both Reynolds, unbelievable. Josh and Craig. Craig had to have it 4th and goal touchdown run right up the gut, came in fresh, and he's playing third fiddle to some people are saying the best running back duo in NFL history. There are some stats that would demonstrate that. Some people are saying it. That's all I'm saying. So I'm definitely with you and some. And this is coming from a Lions fan who's been hurt so many times before. And at some point, I just got to trust my eyes and not like my heart and my brain and everything I know about this Lions team. It's Sheila Hamp's team now. It's not, the Ford is out. The Ford is out of town. That's Sheila Hamp's team as far as I'm concerned there in Detroit. James, what do you think about this one, buddy?
The Detroit Lions are outside being like, Stella, take me back out, James. I promise I won't do it again. No, I'm taking the Lions on this one. I really do think the Niners are overhyped and overrated. 270 is crazy. My thought process with this weekend is take both dogs. We'll use $100 as a scale here, right? So you bet $100 on both those games. You put in $200. If only the Chiefs win, you get $70 in profit. If only the Detroit Lions win, you get $170 in profit. If they both win, you make $440 on profit on $200 wagered. I think at least one of these games gets an upset. I think both of them are very highly likely to have an upset. Chiefs obviously a little more just based on the number.
Chiefs feels like free money. That's what I was about to say. It feels like free money to me, James. Sorry, Ron.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to play one underdog, you need to play both here. I think it's just the obvious move for this weekend. This could end up that neither of these two, it's going to be a boring one.
I have a question.
That hasn't happened. Yeah, go for it.
James, when we are on a little bit of delay here, that's why we have these weird interactions, but I do want to interrupt you. So I think it's really important, since we're a big math show, to point out that most of the time, if you parlay both underdogs, the odds, the return on that will be less than if you mechanically do it. So don't, or do your math, or at least, probably you're better off mechanically if you want to parlay a unit or a half a unit on both underdogs parlay. You have the opportunity to take all of that money that you won from the Chiefs, if they do win, and put it all the way on the Lions. Okay. So don't parlay these two just math wise, unless you have a really good sports book, which no one does in the United States, and just mechanically do whatever portion you want to double down on. What do you think about that, James?
Yeah, or just guarantee your profit. Say if you bet $100, you win the 164. Roll that 164 over to the Lions. Worst case, you came out of the weekend neutral. Best case, you're up a lot of money. So I'm putting, for transparency, I'm putting 3 units of my own on both of these games. So it's a 3-unit play for both of these on me. Don't get those very often, but then again, we're later in the season. We know a lot more about it. We'll see what happens, but I've got 3 units on both of these.
Yeah, I was just talking earlier, I think today, with one of my buddies and telling them how high of a percentage I hit on like my 2-unit bets, and then my 1-unit bets do not do nearly as well. Do you find that to be the case? And do you kick yourself for gambling as much of the volume as you do because you do hit at a higher rate with the bets you feel more better about?
No, there's a reason why they're a 2-unit and 3-unit play, right? There's a reason why those plays, you're putting more money on it, because you do have a higher confidence on it. I think most of my plays are 1 unit simply because I play a lot of underdogs. I only need to win 51% of the time to be profitable with an underdog. Maybe even less than that, depending on how much of a dog I'm taking. The majority of the time when I'm taking a big dog, it's something that I feel or I'm taking a big amount of units, something very, very, very much, this is a no-brainer to me. I'll give you an example of this. March Madness a couple years ago, we had Zion Williamson versus Taco Fall. I laid the hammer down on UCF. I've never bet more money in my life on a basketball game than that spread. And it was because the spread was I think it was 14, 15 points, and the game ended up being a 1-point game. This team doesn't have any height. Taco Fall is ridiculous. I don't know what they're going to do. I know that's unfortunately not a football reference for this podcast, but that's the example, right? You have to feel that level of confidence with it. And so you should judge your 1-unit plays, 2-unit plays, 3 units, etc., on different levels, because you need to assign, theoretically in life, when you assign the unit value, it's kind of like a star system, a 1-star to a 5-star. You're thinking about hotels or restaurants, right? You want your 5-star experience to be always the best. So if I'm betting 5 stars or 5 units on a game, I should be very, very confident, and my percentile for my 5-unit play should be a lot higher than my 1-unit play.
Well said. Yeah, the way I look at it, instead of the star system, and tell me if you're the same way for certain things, is I'm a points guy. Like, how far off is this point spread? Because that's how you really determine how much of an edge you have. Don't quote me on this, but I think you need like a 1.25 point edge to beat the VIG, the 10% VIG, the 10% rake. versus most sports books. It's somewhere in that ballpark. I'm not super hardcore on that, but basically you want to have like you want the number to be wrong by 2 points, right? And the Chiefs, I think that number is significantly off. I think this should be closer to a pick 'em. So that's why I love the Chiefs so much, because I do think that's a 50-50 game, just math-wise. So a 4-point edge versus a book is massive. Like if it's a true 4-point spread, which I believe it is. And then the Lions, I think the way I look at it is the Niners have like home field and some. So I think this game should be closer to 3.5 points for the Lions. So that's another 4-point swing. That's just like the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous, because I can see the Lions losing in spectacular fashion and just absolutely blowing up, but it just doesn't seem like it's the same Lions. So
yeah, you do have to equate in that these books want even money on both sides. So I think a lot of these lines
do they though? Or do they want the most
100%,
action total for a game?
No,
because they have such big pocket.
100% want to take they would like both sides to be even, and they just take that 10%.
But they don't have it always even though, because sometimes they'll take massive edges on like they'll have 90% of the money on one side and they won't budge the number because they feel the way they feel. So I think they just want the maximum amount of action on a game.
I think
with a relatively fair
action, if it includes a parlay, is what I think. I think, the reason why the best bookmakers continue to be the best bookmakers is because they take the big money bettors. And so circa those books are the best books simply because they take the best money and then adjust the line accordingly. So I think what you're seeing with people who want the most money nowadays, we can get into a very deep topic of current state of sports betting and sports books as a whole. But if you're a winner, you are not allowed in a sports book. That is a fact. They will kick you out. So yeah, they want as much money as possible, because worst outcome is they find out you're a winner and then they tell you to kick rocks. So, that's why you got to be careful about where you bet as well. That's why I recommend places like Circa, because they don't kick out winners, because the way that they do their business model is to get that 10% bid. And that's how you truly should run a sports book. However, we've had all these sites like FanDuel and DraftKings where they've taken on a ton of money from VC and capital funds that they have to make back, and they've been losing money for years. So what's the easiest way to continue to make money? If anybody's good at betting, kick them out of your sports book and only take losers. So kind of a hot take there, kind of went off a little bit, but that's kind of the fact of the sports betting landscape right now and what we're seeing. You're right, but it truly, if you're a good sports book and you're doing the way sports book should be, you make 10% off your total rev, call it a day.
Yeah, I agree with you. Also, they scam you if you don't really know your numbers really well. Like, don't bet big units. Don't bet 2 figures. Don't bet over $10 if you don't really, really understand. I don't care how much money you make, unless you really, really understand the numbers and what those implied odds are. Like, if you don't know your numbers so well, you'll never win in the long run. So if you're just doing it recreationally to say like I was right about something, bet $9, no one has to know. Like, it's not worth it. And all those, like you said, Circa, they do contests. They do contests where you have to submit 5 games against the spread every single week throughout a whole season. They do survivor pools too, and that's where all those pros go. And Circa's happy about it because no matter what, they're taking a 10% rake or their 9% rake on the contest or whatever they do. That way that decreases their amount of risk. They don't have any risk. Same thing with DraftKings, and now same thing with like best ball fantasy football, which is like honestly way easy to exploit and make a ton of money on right now. It's like way easier than sports gambling. So if you really want to make money, you should be doing that right now. But anyways, I digress. This was really, really fun, you guys. I'm glad that we had time to kind of dig into the deep side of stuff, because we only had 2 games to cover and we said the 3 of us, which makes me think maybe we narrow down the games that we cover next season for the sports gambling pod and just bet our like 2 or 3 favorites per person or stuff we disagree on. I think would be pretty fun, pretty natural conversation. Didn't feel like I was forcing us and rushing us to the finish line like I usually am. So thank you guys as always. Mr. Ryan Perrio at Ryan Perrio on all social media platforms. Dallas comedian, tours the world, however. He's been on a big old tour lately with Pauly Shore. Thank you for being on, buddy. What do you have to tell the audience?
Yeah, you can check me out at Dallas Comedy Club this Saturday night at 10 p.m. on the South by Southwest Comedy Showcase.
It's going to be a great show. If you are in town, you got to see Ryan Perio. He's very funny in person. James, not a public figure, is an NFL insider. I think we are going to maybe break a little bit of news on the channel with your blessing. So subscribe if you're interested about that. It's going to be a college leaning topic that I think you'd be happy for me to share.
Miles is going back to college?
Yeah.
I'm going to go kick for Alabama. And
GoFundMe Miles going back to college because Lord knows he needs it. Just kidding. James, thank you for being on. Do you have anything to tell the audience?
Shout out Nick Dunlap, Alabama Golf. I am an official part of the booster club for Alabama Golf. So great win of the American Express this weekend. Shout out to Dunlap, who turned pro today. So big moves for Alabama Golf. I got to say, if you are interested in any of the things I talked about with sports betting, please read Billy Waters' autobiography. He has some amazing stories about how sportsbook came up, about his life, and he also includes some of his numbers that he talked about, how much a home field advantage or how much traveling might be worth points-wise to a spread, which I may or may not have used this year. So I think that's very important to do. And last but not least, let's get ready for Super Bowl Sunday show. After this, I'm telling you, the Propapalooza is coming. I'm going to have so many prop bets. I will know what the color of the Gatorade is. You're going to want to tune in.
We'll know how long the national anthem is. We'll know it's going to be tails.
I've already done some timing. On some of the previous national anthems for this year's Summer. I'm ready.
Yeah, we will have a Palooza and a whole bunch of other content, I'm sure, leading up to the Super Bowl that I haven't planned yet. Thank you guys for being on, and thank you guys for watching, and good night.